What up, guys? Welcome back to the Overkill Underground. We are officially back from our winter break. It was a little more extended than I thought it would be, but here we are. So
it's about time.
We got the entire cast here. Doug, welcome back.
Great to be back.
Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be back.
Good to have
you.
you,
Happy New Year
Bobby.
to everybody.
And
Love
we
you,
do.
buddy.
We do have the extra guest star here, Lance, but he is off camera tonight, off mic tonight, but he is here with us.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So just real quick, obviously, I mean, we're only here Thursday, the day after the $1.6 billion Powerball.
The big one.
I mean, you're talking ridiculous. This is $650 million cash after taxes.
Big money.
3 people. Obviously,
That's
we
great.
heard over the course of the
nice.
day.
Mm-hmm.
What did it end up being? California, Tennessee,
Florida.
and Florida.
Florida.
So those were your big winning states. Could you imagine?
Oh, my goodness.
Could you imagine?
I mean, you're basically buying dreams when you buy a ticket, aren't you?
With that kind
You're
of money?
thinking about it the whole time, what you're going to do,
Just-
what boss's desk you're going to take a crap on the next morning. I
And
mean,
that's-
the whole thing.
Just think of all the lives you could change with that kind of money.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's just, there's 3 winners, but there's hundreds of other people that are going to benefit greatly from that. And that's
Well, and not to
that's just
mention
terrific
also,
that there was 3 winners.
not to mention also, along with the 3 absolute multi-millionaires, there was 71 other people that were made into millionaires, plus 8 more people that were made into multi-millionaires with their Power Play $2 million winning ticket, which absolutely ridiculous. When you think about the money that the 3 won, I mean, you're talking and you're right. When you buy a ticket, you are buying dreams. You sit there and you think,
oh, yeah.
and you go through the day of, well, what would I do with that? $600 million.
Right. I mean, the question's just,
Buy
would you
your own
tell anyone? Would you tell anyone as soon as you won, Bobby? Would you tell, would you keep it silent for a couple days? Think about it.
I'd probably keep it silent for a few days and get me some good advice
Yeah.
and, figure
Without
out
a
what I'm
doubt.
going to do with that kind
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
I mean, come to work the next day or just not show up?
I would probably show up at work and retire at noon.
Yeah,
High noon.
right at lunch, huh?
My
That's not a
working
bad
career
idea.
is over.
As
We'll
soon
see you
That's
later.
not a bad idea.
I
That's
mean-
a good.
I was thinking
a good
about
way to
just
go
going
about
to
it.
work and doing whatever I wanted till they fired me. Just keep on going to work and then just being like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want until you guys fire me. I got all this cash,
right.
just-
Right.
I've been fired before, so I don't know if I'd go down that road. I would just resign happily.
Yeah,
Maybe.
well, and I mean, like you were saying earlier too. This is going to change a ton of people's lives. That kind of cash, just being that amount of money within the United States, released upon the population, basically, it's a lot of cash, a lot of influx of money that actually came back to the people. And that in itself is kind of impressive. I think it'll benefit tons of people that are within the families that won that money.
No doubt.
But like the Ohio lottery here that we play, the commercials you all will see, odds are you'll have fun. And when you buy those tickets,
Yes.
it's like you think, and you go through the day, you spent your $4 or whatever, but you do have fun just being in it, because you're
That's true.
obviously, if you're not in it, you can't win it.
You can't win.
But the odds, as far as they are against you, at least if you do play, you're in it. It's one of those things where
That's right.
it's absolutely it's ridiculous to think about. What do you want to do with that kind of cash? Buy my own sports team? Do I want to buy maybe an island off in Bahamas.
Uh,
I mean,
Or like a bunch of cocaine and hookers, like that dude said on the news the other day.
and he did too, didn't he? That was
Well,
one
I mean,
of the things.
if you wanted an honest answer, I mean, you're going to get it, especially if the guy's in Philly.
So then he said just that. It was a news interview, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A video.
I mean, she should have just played along with that
A
one.
video interview. Here's a pretty good one though. Did you hear about the guys? This was in Florida, I believe, Tampa, Florida. You had a group of guys, 270 participants. The buy-in was $500. They raised $146,000 to buy Powerball tickets. Did you guys hear about
Wow.
this?
No.
Okay, so they increased their odds to 1 in 5,000.
Wow.
So
And he still didn't win?
wow.
and I don't think they won the jackpot, no, but they did. I think they did make money, but
What, like
Either-
$44 or
right,
a
it
number
wasn't.
here and there?
It obviously wasn't close to substantial, but $146,000 in Powerball tickets. A team of 270 participants.
There were
got
a lot of
hold
dreams there that got
So-
smashed.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yes.
Most people probably lost that $500.
Either that or
I
they got
mean,
real bad jobs. Real bad jobs.
Well, even if you have a good job, I'll take $600 million.
I mean, you could.
Anyway,
This is a
yeah.
perfect thing for a boss to find out how well your workers like to work for you.
Yeah,
I mean,
no
this
kidding.
is perfect.
You ain't kidding.
Like, oh, these guys got a pool of $50 each. Well, that's not too bad. But when guys are putting in $500 each at
Yeah.
your fucking office, then you got some issues
Yeah.
at your place of
No
work
kidding,
right there.
right, yeah.
Like, these guys are desperate.
I'll pay anything.
These guys are putting down
Please.
a quarter of their wage,
Please
yearly
give me
wage.
Yeah, please get me out of here. You ain't kidding,
Yeah,
man.
Bob's got 3 kids. He
Ain't
put in
that the
$500 for this. Oh my goodness, he must work at a really crappy place.
Yeah, no
Well-
kidding, man.
I mean, lowering your odds to 1 in 5,000, like he says, I think I'd put $500 down on
Right,
something like
sure,
that.
Right,
I mean,
it's not a bad option.
not
You're
a bad
absolutely-
option, man.
You're absolutely
No.
right. Yeah, they're really. I mean, there were some other statistics. Overall, 7,184,000 tickets, sharing a total of 32 million. Overall, there was like 26 million winning tickets. Pretty staggering statistics in
Yeah.
itself.
Yes.
26 million winning tickets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that.
Which is just happens though. Doesn't it just happen if more people are buying more tickets? There's
Right.
just obviously going to be
Right.
more winners. But
Obviously, absolutely.
I mean, that's just how it ended up this year, and they
And-
just seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And with those kind of numbers too, it makes you realize how much money that lottery's really raking in.
More than they fund
would-
NASA, I think I heard the other
Oh,
day. They're
absolutely,
funding
yeah.
NASA with less cash than they had the Powerball.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I would imagine that would be true. I mean, you have a Powerball that rises up to $1.6 million. That alone tells you they're making I think they're making 95 cents on every $2 spent for each ticket.
Oh my goodness!
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
Pay down the debt with that one.
And you know, which makes you think though, wouldn't maybe you see someday in the near future maybe see a worldwide lottery? I mean, where is the world lottery? We got the national lottery. We've been
It's just
doing those for
the crossing
so-
of currencies could cause a stipulation there.
Yeah.
maybe, but I think that's all pretty much mathematic. I think that's figured out. But
I think the logistics of doing something like that would be extremely difficult.
that's exactly what
as
I
good
thought.
as the as communication
Well,
then-
is,
then
I don't
the
see
money-
how you could do something like
I
that.
think fraud would be the number one worry in a worldwide
It would
lottery.
be more than that because the winner obviously pays taxes within his country, and you would have countries vying for.
You'd have
having
people.
the winner.
Well, would that not be any different than the 4 states that are excluded from the Powerball entering into those countries to buy the tickets?
And there's still stipulation
wouldn't-
about that. I mean, the border states of those states are making tons of cash.
But also the rules do, they do say, you can buy your Powerball ticket anywhere.
Yeah.
You can buy it. You can be from Canada. If you're Uncle Joe from Canada coming down to Florida and buys a ticket, you win. Period. you won the winning ticket. I mean, so if you are in a high tax country or whatever this stipulation may be, maybe you want to go to the next country next to you or whatever and buy a ticket that will have less taxes.
Less taxes.
You know, I mean,
that's awesome, actually.
Why wouldn't there be a worldwide lottery, though? I mean, the biggest thing I think with the way that you see the world today, people being able to defraud a worldwide lottery, I think, would be the number one issue, without a doubt. You'd have so many hackers trying to get into the system on how to. I mean, it would have to be a pretty. And with the system that we have here in the United States, it's, as far as I've seen, pretty stringent on how, there's obviously a lot of laws, rules, guidelines, a lot of officials that are watching over the entire process. They paint the balls with the numbers, and then they weigh them and actually sand off sections of the ball that when the ink that was put on those balls added a certain amount of weight.
It's got to be that way.
It's perfect.
It's got to be that way.
And it does.
Though,
absolutely.
Just because
Without
of the
a
way,
doubt.
the money, the income of it, and having it being
No doubt.
so there's no sort of, it's all chance, all a dice
Right.
roll the whole time.
100% chance.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
All of it.
How many numbers are there?
I think there's 69.
Yeah. Right.
69.
60. Yeah. 1 through 69.
Good position. Yeah, great position. By
And
the way.
then the other ball is 1 through what, 28 now?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Powerball.
And they did some
So-
changes where I think they made it like cheaper or something to play. Did they make it cheaper? Was there a change in the price?
They made it more
Yeah.
expensive. It
More
was $1
expensive.
per play. It used to be $1 per play.
So now it's $2.
They changed it to $2 per play, and this
Yeah.
was a year and a half ago, probably now.
Oh, yeah.
But
Mm. Yep.
I couldn't imagine though.
I mean, the next one, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. I mean,
They seem to.
well, the ones we hear about, at least. I mean,
What-
because we never hear about the winner who won 50 mil now. We just hear about the winner who won 100 or 1.5 bill. I mean, we don't hear about the little winners now.
The frequency of those huge winnings do seem to be picking up. I mean,
They do.
that's
What was the last one?
That's an observation that I think I've noticed over the time.
700 million or something, the last one or something, right around that?
something like
the
that.
ballpark, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
The last big one, which might have been maybe a year ago.
Yeah. And
But
everybody
even,
heard about
but
that.
But even since then, we've had a couple that were 400, 500 million, and you hear about those. But it's funny. It's funny though, really. I mean, you talk about 500 million. That would be the one that you'd think everybody would get in on,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You hear about it. Once it gets over 200 million, 250, that's when you start hearing the commercials on the radio.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But once it gets up to 1.6 billion,
I mean, the newscasters got ratings. This helps
Absolutely,
everybody.
yeah.
I mean, everybody got ratings off of this.
Without
I
a
mean, there's
doubt.
nothing to talk about
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Nobody was watching Obama the other night. They were watching the Powerball.
Yeah,
I
nobody-
mean,
nobody-
who cares
Well,
about
nobody,
that?
nobody
Nobody-
watch him anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to watch a man lie. I mean, it's
You
hard.
don't
I mean, I'm
know.
sorry, Bob, but it's just like
You
but
ain't kidding.
The Powerball was everybody was talking about it. You couldn't go anywhere
Right.
No,
without hearing about it on TV,
That's
the
true.
radio,
absolutely.
and it's amazing how just like money and everybody, at least in this country,
it's ridiculous.
is concerned about it.
Well,
Concerned.
1.6 billion is
Yeah,
a lot of money.
But I,
for,
when
for
it's 1.6
is
billion.
everybody
buying a
that-
lottery ticket and getting 1.6
I mean,
million. I
people-
mean,
are we that
there's something
miserable?
Pretty great
maybe,
about that.
maybe that's a real testament to how scary it is to live in this country right now.
Are we that miserable to where it's just like it's that high? We have to buy in. Like you have to buy in because my life stinks right now.
Hey, you can be the
I mean-
happiest person alive, and I'll
With-
still take a 1.6
I'll be honest with you.
billion.
The thing
I
is,
don't think that matters much.
the honest to God truth though, when you have a 1.6 billion, who doesn't?
I mean,
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
That's the
Can
real.
it buy happiness? Yes, it can. I mean, it's pretty safe to say that can buy happiness.
With 1.6 billion, the first thing you do, you hire all the attorneys and accountants you
Yeah.
can.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Oh,
you get,
yeah.
and then you get your 24-hour security service. You're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They figure it out.
Uh-huh.
And you drift through it and you do as you please. There's
Oh, yeah.
nothing that stops you.
Doing
like I
it
said,
all?
go ahead, buy your own island.
Yeah.
Do it. You know,
You're doing it up Scarface
You're-
style, you know. I mean, goodness.
Scarface was a bitch.
With the hidden cameras everywhere, you know,
Oh,
with
shit.
that van out front, you know, they'd be watching
Right.
you for sure. They'd be
Yeah.
on you. They'd be on you for sure.
If you lived on your own island, nobody would even care.
Yeah,
You'd have your
I
own
mean, yeah.
security force on that island.
Oh,
It wouldn't
yeah.
even matter.
I mean, you might have the Cubans coming over in boats over there at that point.
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, when you have that kind of money, it's
Oh man,
the possibilities literally are endless.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
I mean, it's close to $1 billion that you have in cash, and I mean,
What was the payout?
it was around. Well, if you did
800
the cash option, I think it was around 650, 700.
with all
I
the
don't-
taxes.
Yeah, without all the taxes taken out,
Wow.
done. Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
700 million. So
Oh my goodness.
it's ridiculous to think about. Yeah.
You could. Ooh.
But
I mean, you're absolutely right though. Where do you go with that? I mean, it's Powerball.
What I was hearing.
1.6 billion.
I mean, I was hearing one guy saying that you shouldn't make many big purchases. Almost like
Don't buy a Cadillac.
you know, don't buy anything. The way Robert De Niro was
Didn't
talking
they
to
tell
his
you
guys
that
during
don't
that heist.
spend
What was
any
that
money?
movie? What was that?
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Yeah, Goodfellas. I mean, thanks, Lance. But I mean, don't make any purchases early. I don't know if you could restrain yourself.
It doesn't count when you have 700
No,
million.
it
I mean,
doesn't
you just
count.
get out and start
No,
buying.
um,
crap.
At 700 million, you try to spend as much as you can in the lifetime.
Yeah.
You start out the first year spending 20 million, and you're like, wow, I still have
Yeah.
600 million
Yeah.
plus to go.
Oh my! Now we're dreaming.
You can't.
God,
You
yeah.
can't. That's such a ridiculous amount of money. But it did
Mhm.
get split 3 ways. But even in 3 ways, it's no different. At 230 or whatever $1 million that they got with the cash option, all the taxes taken out, you're still talking. I just spent 30 million this year, and I still got 200 to go.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
If you spent 30 million, how many houses, how many cars and boats could you buy?
You could be like Tyson.
And still have the money to pay the taxes for years. No, but you wouldn't be like Tyson because you'd have the money to pay the taxes.
No, but Tyson won that one fight. He got all that money.
Right,
He used to
yeah.
drive a Mercedes until
Yeah,
it ran out of
right,
gas,
right.
and then go buy a new one. You could do that like every day. It would be awesome.
Every day for a while. Yeah.
it's
All right.
You could
Yeah.
You could do it every day for a while for sure. You could do
You
that
could-
with a Rolls Royce. Why bother with a Benz?
Yeah.
I mean, just buy a new Rolls every day.
you could
Absolutely.
afford Scottie Pippen's old house that he's got on the market that he's got 35 bathrooms in. And
Right, right.
Have
Hey,
tablets
Scotty,
in each
I'll
one. for
take your
reading.
house from you, brother.
Where is that house located? Somewhere in North Korea?
I don't know. Chicago area, I think.
Sure, you're
Yeah.
probably right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Bedbug capital of the country, I think.
Well,
35 bathrooms should be a hotel.
speaking of North Korea, though, we can take it from that step and talk about
Oh, man.
Iran and the fact that, of course, a lot of in the news with the 10 captives of the American
Yeah.
naval ships that were over there, and the whole thing. It was obviously when I heard about it first thing, they told about a report that the Iranians actually came out with and said, they were praising us and they were thankful for our care and our how we took care of our prisoners. But the whole thing was it was obviously pushed over as a propaganda thing where
Sure.
nobody. And I'll have to say there's one thing that I've heard Obama say that was actually pretty decent, and that was the fact that if you mess with America, you're setting yourself up for ruin. And that's the one thing I can absolutely guarantee, because there's not a lot of things that America's good at anymore, but war is one of them,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
You've got to have a caveat to that, saying unless the president is Barack Obama, then you don't have to worry about anything you're doing because he's just going to ignore it. And, oh well.
And that's that's true all to a certain extent. I do think that there's people in the military forces that kind of have a better idea, a better sense and direction in the way that they go, and the way that they lead, the country itself. I think if Barack Obama had his real opportunity to take control of the country the way he wants to, we would be completely in a different position we are in today. Not saying that he hasn't
Tried.
I think really tried to pull this country down as far as he could.
And he's got a year more to do
Yeah, I was
that.
just
And he
gonna
does.
say
He
that.
does. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a scary position to be in, which is why things like the Powerball skyrocket up there because people were worried. People were worried about the state of this country,
No doubt
and with
about
this with this election coming up this year, we see this. A lot of people saying I hear it myself from people saying, this is going to be the one. This is the one that's either going to turn it around, or this country is down the tubes. And we see, with, like you said, Barack Obama, he's sloughing this Iran thing off. That doesn't even matter. I don't even think I heard him say anything about it. As far as him being on video and kind of briefing a press conference on it, which to me, that's kind of a big deal. I mean, this is a country that we've been dealing with that's been a hostile enemy for decades, and now we give them the rights to uranium supplies, and now we're best friends with them because we're giving them a further
well,
reach into building
I think
atomic weapons.
I think
It's
what-
ridiculous.
Obama has to live up to
Ridiculous.
his peaceful administration by having the nuclear agreement, which is basically garbage. I mean, how are we going to verify what they're doing?
What did
over
we
there?
get from that deal?
I mean, I think he wants.
what kind of deal was that?
I think he wants in the Middle East another an equalizer to Israel. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Is he knows Israel's got nukes. He thinks it's unfair, and he wants an equalizer in the Middle East.
That could be.
And
That could be.
he's not. I don't believe he's Muslim of any sorts, but I do think he has sympathy and a connection with his father's background to the Muslim world and Islam in general, the religion. And I do believe that he thinks it's a peaceful. I think, honestly, he does believe it's a peaceful religion, and he knows a lot of Muslims that are peaceful.
If you're talking about the Muslim religion, I would believe that too. I mean, I haven't, I happen to know a little bit about the Muslim religion just on my personal research, and it's not something that says go out and kill people.
But what it also
You know.
says, though, you can lie to your enemies, and that's not considered. I mean, Christianity, you lie in any sort. I think even in the Jewish religion, you lie. It's you're going against,
right,
the
sin.
big guy
That's
upstairs.
sin, right?
But
right.
in Islam, I would imagine, and I think, don't quote me on it, but I would imagine that when you lie to an infidel, would it be that it's acceptable if it profits
Right. Well,
yourself? I mean,
right.
it's very
And
very
that's
tricky.
where it is tricky. I mean, I know at least a couple good Muslim people, and they feel the same way. But the thing is, when you put those gray lines in there, I don't believe, and this is my personal belief, as far as what God is kind of focused on, God doesn't see in that gray area. You either are or you're not. If you're lying, you're lying. That's against what is good.
But it's not gray in their book. It's not gray.
Well, if you can lie, it's a gray area.
Well, sure, but it's black and
Because-
white over there.
Because lying would be something that would be, sinful. It would be against God. If it's okay because you're lying to your enemy, that's a gray area.
But according to them, I mean, every man makes up his own moralities.
Well, in my, like I said, this would be a black and white, which I think God is more or less to be. You would think black or white would be yes, you're lying, or no, you're not. There's either a choice that you're making to lie, which is the negative, or a choice that you can't lie, you want to tell the truth. That's the positive. There is no in between. And I could see where there's gray areas drawn up in the Muslim belief. It's just
The Muslim religion is a peaceful religion for the most part.
right.
It's
What do you know about the Muslim religion?
there are factions in it that are out of control,
Absolutely, yeah,
have hatred
without a doubt.
through and through, and it's given Muslims the black eye, a total black eye.
And back to the Iran deal though, with the whole thing going on over there, it doesn't really all that matters is the fact that they're lying to their own people by saying that, we were praising them for the release. I'm sure they were cordial, but I'm sure it wasn't like they had put into the propaganda of how it came across to the Iranian people.
Well,
I mean,
well,
that's another thing that
the Iranian people are irrelevant. They don't have any say in anything. The only thing that matters with those people is the people that run the countries, all of them in the Middle East.
That's true.
All of them.
That's
the governments
true.
are the only people that matter. The rank and file of those countries, they don't give a shit about them.
Now
they make them live in poverty with nothing.
You're absolutely right.
So what they tell their people is irrelevant. It really is.
In most respects, you're absolutely right. I feel that's probably true. The thing about a country like Iran, though, that is, I think, a big difference from America is that America, they have the real money to put into things like military and police military forces on the ground within the United States, where Iran doesn't. Iran doesn't have the money to interject military police into their own streets like we have. I mean, we are a heavily policed country, and in our part of the country here in Ohio, I don't see a real militarized police zone, but I've seen things in other bigger cities where they do have quite the militarized police, where in Iran I don't think you're going to see that. They have to be careful. There's a lot of different factions within Iran itself that could turn against the government in being put in position as,
I think your chance for that was a couple years ago in 2009.
There's no chance.
Well, that's the thing. Well, there was a chance, I do believe, then, like you're saying, and there could be again. I don't think that, as far as where we lie as a country now.
The people there have no way of uprising. They have no way of taking on the government.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What do you think? What do you think's happening here? Our government is trying to take away our guns and things like that, so the people can't rise up against our government.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's what all those countries are at already.
Without a doubt, yeah. A lot of those countries are in shambles as far as, but you do see the governments getting bigger. What are you gonna do? Right? I mean, that's one of these things where not just Iran's government's getting bigger, but places like India and their government and their princes and their alis are all getting. I mean, they're fighting over who has the biggest yacht over there. At 750 feet long or whatever it is, but. I mean, it's the state of the world.
But back to the Iran
altogether,
thing.
I think.
But the videos, I mean, being 29 and not seeing real, I mean, we saw 9/11 and stuff like that. But being a student of history and watching videos of World War II and stuff, when I saw the U.S. soldiers with their hands out there above their heads on those boats,
and they were obviously taken captive.
You saw that, and it was a shocker, at least for me. I never seen anything like that, at least in the color in the video and in real time.
Yeah, I got
where you had seen these guys, and then you see all these machine guns on these boats, and then you see the boats that pulled them over, and you're going, what the heck? Why weren't these guys? I mean, they could have. I mean, honestly, they probably could have fired their way through that thing easily. They had two boats. I think they were older boats. The American boats were a little older.
Right.
But first off, the soldiers don't call up command, according to so-and-so's story. I think the government officials are saying right now that, they didn't phone in. But if you're going off course or your GPS goes down and you're a sailor, I mean, pretty much you're either phoning in like, hey, we lost everything, send some choppers out here to get us.
Right.
We might have something here. We might be going off. I mean, they have, if you look at that video where those guys are on their knees and they're surrendering.
I saw the photos.
They have a ton of firepower on those boats.
Yeah, I saw the photos.
And the guys who pulled them over aren't exactly, stocking giant warships.
They didn't.
These guys are on yachts basically, pulling these guys over. And we have a ton of equipment, and the Iranis are not turning over those boats. They're not giving them back. They're going to take that technology,
absolutely,
and they're definitely going to figure it out over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a hit home for me seeing that video, but these guys, 10, 20 guys couldn't shoot their way through that, or at least call for some chopper backup.
Well, they might have been told to stand out.
Well, they probably did. Were told to stand down.
I
I'm sure.
Stand down.
Right.
We can't do anything against Iran. We got to keep that nuclear deal going. So we're just gonna let
They were
it play
probably
itself out.
which brings us back to you
And
were
without
saying
a
how
doubt,
the
yeah.
generals might be better off. We put good generals in place, but the people who hire the generals are not good people. I mean, Obama's putting in a bunch of pansy boys
And
in there.
that's-
I hate to say it, but he's really changing the guard
Without
in the
a doubt.
military.
Without a
and
doubt.
the Pentagon
Yeah.
is a bunch of skirts walking around at this point. And I mean, I'm sure they could take any military down at this point with strategic thinking and tactics and all that junk, but. I mean,
well, and the major
these
that,
guys
that
are-
Obama got rid of just last. Well, it draws a blank now. Forgive me. The last general that he took out was Petraeus. For what? For sleeping around? Was that what it ended up being? I mean, was that what?
Well, leaving himself open to blackmail,
I mean,
doing that kind of thing.
Once
One
you
of the
open
greatest-
yourself to
showing
that, you're in
showing
trouble.
his mistress some classified information. There was more to it than him just, sleeping with her and stuff. There was a little bit more to it, but they did throw him under the bus very, very quickly.
yeah, I
And,
could. You're right. Yeah.
But he did a little more than what you're saying. I mean, I'm a fan of
No,
Petraeus.
I mean,
I
I'm
respect
sure.
him,
Right, I'm sure there's
but
more
he was
to the
doing
story.
a little more than
I'm sure
he
there's-
should
He
have been
just
doing.
wasn't Obama's creature, is what he was. He just wasn't.
Well,
That could be too. I mean, how much? I mean, that could be the case. Maybe there was classified information that was being shared. Obviously,
right.
in the military service, classified information, it stays with you to the grave. I mean, that's just the position that those guys put themselves in. But again, though, we do see the breakdown of Obama trying to, I think, weaken the military.
No doubt.
Well,
about
let's get it
But
straight.
there are
There's
the
no
right
doubt about
people.
that.
There are the right people.
That's
I
one of his
think,
goals.
I hope that the right people are in the right positions, hopefully taking care of the country
we
as
hope.
best they can.
I
Yep.
mean, the
As
only
best they
people
can.
afraid of Obama
That's one
right
of his
now
goals.
is the American people. Let's just put that plain and simple. I mean, the only people scared of him are you,
It's
me,
not a
that
joke.
live under his rule.
It's not a joke.
Essentially.
Yeah, because
We're
we
the
can
only people
see-
scared of him. Nobody afraid of him in Iran or Iraq, Afghanistan. Nobody's afraid of him there.
And-
We're
And
afraid
nobody
of him here.
respects him.
Well, nobody. I mean,
Nobody respects him.
Anybody who's a thinker does not respect him. But the thing is, I think we see a degradation in just the nation alone. I think we see things within the educational system. First off, I think the educational system has taken a serious hit in a lot of the bigger cities, where I mean, some of these places are war zones. Chicago, obviously.
Detroit.
Detroit is
All the big cities.
is a complete war zone. I mean, that place
all the big
is,
cities are getting like that.
and you see what do they call it? And it's a popular name for Detroit right now. And the gangs that run there, Chirac, because it's that's Chicago's Iraq. That's what they call it. And there's even a gang out there called Chirac, and it's they show you can see it on YouTube. You look up the driving down the Detroit streets, and it's skyscraper after skyscraper that's been boarded up, basically.
And what's really sad is that the people that are suffering have the leadership in place that you would think that would be getting on these problems. You've got Emmanuel as the mayor of Chicago. You've got Obama as president. You would think they would be doing something about some of this, but they ignore it. They never say anything about it.
They try to sweep it under the rug.
And they sweep it under
They make
the rug.
They try to make it disappear. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And
They're trying.
They don't want people to. They don't care.
No. Well, and they do care. They
They
care.
don't care.
They care.
They don't care.
They care to hide it as best they can,
That's
so that
all.
they can win the next election. That's all that really counts. I mean, really, as long as your party can stay in power, which, and when we talk about party lines, I'm not even sure that the Democrats are too far off from where the Republicans are, and vice versa. I mean, it's almost embarrassing to watch.
Oh, my
I mean,
goodness.
how many people do we have left in this Republican debate? 12, 13?
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhat ridiculous. I mean, what's... we're obviously looking for the best guy out there, the best guy to do the job, but somewhere there's got to be a line drawn that says, we've got to seriously look at these candidates and figure out which one of these guys, if any, can do a decent job, because we may be past that point. We may be past the point of, Democrat, Republican, it doesn't really matter who you vote for, right?
It does.
I mean,
yes, it does.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
end,
yeah, it does.
Gotta
You think about the last 7 years of Barack Hussein Obama. You can't say that it doesn't matter who we vote for.
Right. Well,
you can't say that.
And I can only hope. I can only hope that that's true. I really do. I can only hope that that's true, because in the long run, are they on opposing teams? I hope so. I mean, I hope that there is a division.
Hope, but I just think that
I hope there is a division.
They're going to take over right where the Democrats left off the Republicans. They just want control of the money right now.
Let me
the Democrats got control of the money.
Let me say,
that's how it is.
We've been jaded in this country about our leadership. We hear everything about them now with all the different ways of communications, and everybody is degraded. If you look at the Republican field, there's a lot of darn good people on that stage.
You ain't kidding. Yeah, you ain't kidding. I mean,
a lot of them.
And they're diverse.
You can go to Carly Fiorina, Mike Huckabee, Rick Santorum, and then the guys on the main stage, Christie, Cruz, Rubio, all of them.
I'm a big fan of Cruz and Rubio.
They've got a lot to offer, but with today's communications and with the liberal press and everything, it's hard to get to the goodness of
without
those
a doubt.
people.
Yeah,
the
without
only
a doubt.
thing you hear about is Cruz's eligibility,
right?
Rubio's college debts, stuff like that. Instead
and that's
of looking
that kind of
might be better than you think.
I'll tell you
Bob.
what.
Get that out of the way early.
Let's
get that out of the way early right now. Let's get all the dirty laundry out. I mean, Hillary's little trickle of these emails and stuff is fantastic at this point. But with Cruz's stuff and Rubio, we're vetting them right now. We're getting through the primaries.
I agree with that.
At this point, everybody's going to forget about it. I mean, we won't, but people will forget about what happened here this month, and nobody will remember this. I mean, the polls, at this point, at the last election, I think McCain was 4th place or something.
Oh, the polls mean nothing. All it does is gives the media something to cover and something to talk about, but they're meaningless right now. Well, let me say they're not meaningless because they're knocking people off the main stage that should be on the main stage.
I mean, Rand Paul, is that what you're hinting at? The Rand Paul
I'm talking
boot
about
from
Chris
Jeb?
Christie for the first 2 or 3 debates was not.
Well,
on
they
the
couldn't
main
fit him
stage.
on there. He would weigh too much. The stage would collapse.
Well, I agree. Well, but
I mean, the guy's had lipo
that
already.
That may be a
He's eating
possibility.
cheeseburgers every day. That guy
they're
is.
using the polls to drive.
How can you do that in New York?
Well, I don't know. I do.
I think I would think they. Yeah. Do they allow cheeseburgers in New York?
No.
It depends on the portion size.
Yeah, they
I
don't
think
even
the portions.
allow American fries or freedom fries.
I mean,
freedom fries.
I mean, people are looking at the polls and they're already talking about Trump winning. Let me tell you something.
Oh,
Nobody
boy.
is leading right now. There hasn't been a vote. Nobody is leading.
I wouldn't mind seeing Trump win. I really wouldn't.
But there's a lead in coverage.
I wouldn't mind seeing
There's
it.
a lead in coverage, Bob, and that's how it's played till Iowa.
If anything happened, we only got to suffer for another 4 years.
I respected Trump.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I've watched Trump for years, and I've always wanted him to run. But since he's gotten into the race, he's been a very big disappointment. He's been classless. He's attacked people over nonsense, and he's just all he does is cut people down, no matter who it is, and says, "I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better. They're stupid. I'm going to do better." We need somebody that can talk to people, that can work with people.
I completely disagree with Bob here.
It might
I
be.
completely I think what he's doing is what people want.
I
think
agree.
People want an outlet, and he's giving them an outlet to say.
I agree.
He's saying what we're all want to say in our living rooms, Bob. And the way he's doing it, I don't give a hoot's butt about it. If he wants to go after Jeb Bush with cotton gloves on or with boxing gloves on, the guy's going after him. And people, I think, love that.
You know,
I mean, working with other people I mean, I don't want a president to go in there and work with Congress. I want him to go in there and do the right thing.
If you see a president that goes in there and he seriously, if you see a president go in there, a guy like Trump,
people are liking classless right now.
You've got to set the agenda as president, but you've got to work with the rest of the government. You've got to work with people. That's the only way you're going to get things done, because if you don't work with people, they're going to vote against you, and they're going to override vetoes and everything else. You've got to work with people. I'm not saying kowtow to them, but you've got to work with them.
The time is gone. The Reagan Democrats are all gone. You're not going to get a Republican in there and get Democrats to vote with you anymore. They're so far left, it's over in that respect.
I think
it's one-party rule at this point, and the party rules
far left.
Who has
I disagree.
We're so far left. I'll tell you who really is impressive as far as their campaigning, who is really impressive, super impressive with the way they campaign and their style and the steps that they've taken. And one of the things that they've done is Twitter. This candidate blows up Twitter every half hour. I mean, throughout the night, into the morning, all day long. Bernie Sanders is his campaign. I mean, I wouldn't say he's personally making the post, but he blows Twitter up, and he has millions of followers already. I mean, you're talking this guy.
Just this fascination with this guy.
What he says is a beautiful thing.
Well,
that's the problem.
I think
what he says, what people hear him say, you listen to it and you're like, that's just common sense, beautiful. Like, yeah, of course we all want to love each other and get along and everything's gonna be great. But that's the position I think he tries to portray. You know, we got to get rid of this. Whatever. So many people in jail. It's ridiculous that I have. And I think just within a couple weeks, he put a Twitter post on about. People that are serving minimum mandatory sentences for marijuana possession, and other people that have assault charges that serve less time, such things like that. You know, he brings up those points, posts it all over Twitter all day long, and it's posts like that and hundreds of others. He's getting a big following because of that. I think he's really pushing the social media, and it's working for him.
And it's a good way to go.
It's working for him.
You got to remember the Democratic field is weak, extremely weak.
Oh, and they basically prey.
They don't have. They don't have. I think they prey
on the people that are willing to, just fall into the trap of social media. It's so easy to get a hold of people that are just completely idiots. They're complete idiots. They have no real. There's no realization of actually what's happening in the world. The position that the world is actually in, as far as...
And it is a super diverse field, by the way. 3 white guys and a white woman. That's real diverse. I mean, we got a couple
Right, way to go Democrats, right.
And what's this fascination with, like, professor-looking guys? Like, the Democrats and all these kids coming out of college, it's almost like there's a weird fascination with, like, people that look like your professor.
Yeah,
Bernie Sanders looks like a professor, and he'd be up there, like, lecturing you.
Right.
These kids just go right to him. Like, all these kids would run away from their grandparents at any point
because
in time,
they don't have any minds
for
they can't think for themselves. They're looking for daddy on the stage.
I think Bernie Sanders comes across as somebody who believes what he
daddy.
Says and is honest in what he says, unlike his opponent.
That's true. Now when you talk about
his opponent, Bob,
Hillary Rodham Clinton is his opponent.
I'll tell you
boy.
It's no joke.
It's
no joke. Bernie Sanders is a truthful guy. He ain't afraid to say he's a socialist either.
Right, that's
I mean, he's proud of it.
He puts himself,
and he's quoted as saying that he's proud of being a socialist.
He knows he has to lean that way.
He has no problem
to win the nomination in the Democratic Party.
It's a scary thing that somebody would call themselves a socialist, and a lot of people are okay with that. I mean, this guy's running for president,
think
folks.
About what socialism is. It's giving people stuff for nothing.
It's making everybody equal.
It's making everybody equal.
How are you going to make
shared misery? Is what it is.
It's shared misery, and the fact that you run this huge company. You got to kill yourself to run it, and now you're making the same amount as the guy that's sweeping your floors. How is that going to work?
Well, you'd essentially be paying tax. You would be level. You wouldn't be. You would be making different amounts.
You'd make a company. The government would take it over for you, and then you'd be sweeping the floors next to the guy that's sweeping the floors and doing the accounting.
Well, the ideas that he portrays, people think about it. They hear it and they think, "Oh, great, great, great." But when you sit down and think about what he's talking about, then you say, No, that's not going to work here. That can't work here. It hasn't worked anywhere else. Where has socialism worked? Seriously. Where's it worked?
You can't really think of
can't.
anywhere because it doesn't work.
It
It's
doesn't
always
work.
it's
and
always
and
a
the
few.
people of those countries are not free.
It's always the few that's the hierarchy, the slave drivers against the entire population. That's just the way socialism
it
works.
is.
I mean, you have to divvy up everything evenly, and when everybody's making equal amounts, how does anybody want to achieve more? Nobody cares about making any more if you can't achieve more. Who cares?
Exactly.
So that, I mean, it's really important that people understand that socialism does lead to absolute non-growth. More so negative growth in most countries where the government gets powerful and the people stay weak. But the people never get more powerful ever. They never have the chance.
That's right.
They don't have the ability to grow no matter how much they want to. They can work as much hours as many days, where in America if you really want to, you can achieve. Not a lot of people try to anymore in America, I don't think. But in America, you are free to go out and do what you want, anywhere you want, however you want.
Mm-hmm.
However, I mean, you can't go out and sell marijuana.
Well, that's absolutely not true. Move to California. You can sell marijuana in California.
Yeah.
And the United States is getting, obviously more diverse in that direction. We even have, and this was one of the things I thought I'd share too. I don't know if anybody saw this, but Marlboro has their own M brand of marijuana cigarettes.
Wow,
it's a 20
about time, Marvel.
It's a 20
Good job,
pack,
buddies.
20 pack, 20 cigarette pack of cigarettes.
Wow.
Marijuana cigarettes retailing at $89 a pack.
Whoa.
And you can only buy one at a time. One pack per customer at a time.
You better be hitting the
And
ceiling
these-
at that cost. Oh, my goodness.
I think 4 states right now are selling them. Marlboro M brand.
The M brand. Wow.
And
Hard
we'll,
pack or soft pack?
It shows a hard pack. I don't know if I can show this picture, but well, here. Maybe I can show it like this. If I can show this picture. There we go. I don't know if the camera can see that, but there is a picture.
It's green. Look at that. That's sweet.
There's a picture right there.
Wow.
Wow, I didn't know
That
that.
is the.
Legalize it.
That is it. So I mean, but like I said, easy, son. Well, yeah, but like I said, I no. But that's just the one little picture of it right there. Okay, so the four states,
Probably
Washington,
tastes good.
Washington, Oregon, Colorado, and Alaska are the residents that are celebrating the release of Philip Morris M brand marijuana cigarettes available next month for recreational use. So, I mean, that's, there it is with next month.
Wow.
M brand cannabis cigarettes, 20 pack release. That's a good question. I mean, I would imagine
Could be going to jail for a little while.
I would imagine you would see packs of those in every state. I mean, whether it's
think.
legal or not. I mean, that's something that I think will probably get peddled across state lines, just because it seems like a novelty to have something like that at this point. I mean,
Yeah, but that's the thing I don't like about this. I like the legalization idea. If you want to smoke weed, you can. But I don't want it out on the street. I want it as if it was alcohol is treated right now. I want it in the bar.
absolutely, it needs to be
I
regulated.
want it in the
without a
bar.
doubt.
I want it in
No,
your
that's
home.
not
I don't want you
realistic.
walking down the street
That's
with a
not-
joint in
Well,
your
that's
mouth.
not realistic.
100
No.
feet within
No.
schools.
Right.
At least make a law or something to deter it. Try to deter it. I mean, people are going to break the law, but you can't have the guy walking down the street with a giant bong in his hand and taking roundhouse hits on
Right,
him.
yeah. There's got to be regulation.
If-
Like
Go
I
to the-
think
go to a
when you
hookah bar or
compare
something
when
and
you
do it.
compare the regulations to alcohol, that sounds perfect, right? I mean, doesn't that work? The way the alcohol is set up now, that seems perfectly logical to
You go to a
set
bar
up
to drink
marijuana
beer
the
and
same-
get drunk.
the same way.
You go to a bar to get
Yeah,
high
yeah,
then. Just
absolutely.
make it that way.
And no different, you go to the grocery store to buy your 6-pack of beer,
Right.
and then you pick up your pack of Marlboro
I
M
mean,
brands.
yeah, that sounds awesome.
How
man.
do we
pick up
get
your-
away from the politics? We're getting into some stuff that
Because the politics of it all really is the fact
I mean,
that
We are way off Iran.
What?
I think we started with Iran on this.
Why don't
and,
we talk a little bit about Hillary Rodham Clinton for
all
a
right,
while?
you
How
know what,
about
Bob?
that?
Then it would just be your show.
we got 2
it
minutes.
would just be your show.
you got 2 minutes allotted
I
for
mean,
Hillary
I
talk.
mean,
You give me 2 minutes for Hillary Clinton.
you fill
I'll
it?
probably, oh my.
Oh,
Boy,
you could be
I'll
going
be,
to jail, Bob, if we let you do these 2
And
minutes.
and
All right,
2
here we
minutes.
Okay,
Go Bob.
Okay.
All right, Bob, go ahead.
Let's talk about Hillary Clinton for a few minutes. First of all,
Should I get a soapbox real
I've
quick?
always been told not to talk bad about anybody, but I'm just going to talk honestly about this lady. She's running for president of the United States.
That's for real. I mean, that's I
With-
I tell
with-
you what, I
with very
drive
little qualifications. A carpetbagging senator from New York. A terrible Secretary of State. Horrible. Look at the world right now. A horrible Secretary of State.
You know what else is
A woman
it's
who who-
scary too that I see. I'll be driving down the road. I see a lot of bumper stickers that say Hillary.
Oh, the
I
liberals
know,
love
I
the
do
bumper
too.
Are you
stickers.
kidding me?
The liberals,
She-
they love the bumper stickers.
she has a problem
seriously,
speaking the
it's-
truth.
It's scary. I mean, you don't expect to just drive
She-
down the road.
She
See,
doesn't. She never speaks the truth. She's a serial liar. Somebody
Like-
who you can't. How can you believe
Like
anything
Fruit
she
Loops?
says? Really?
Okay.
I think the Clintons.
I
I,
mean,
think the
seriously.
Clintons have made their fame in lying, though. I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, hashtag serial liar for
Yes.
sure.
Hashtag.
The Clintons. I mean, they've taken lying to a perfection.
Oh, it's
They're great at
definitely-
it. They're great at it.
Almost
It's
like
they're
their,
Muslims.
It's their trademark.
They could be Muslim. I mean, they lie so
I
much.
mean,
Wow, was that bad? Was that racist? I'm
but this
sorry.
woman
I'm not.
will say anything and do anything to win.
She absolutely seems like she might just pull all the stops and just kind of say whatever she wants to say. Whether, I mean, it could be so far off base. I can't. As the debates and that heat up, as we get closer to election time, I think we are going to hear and see some silly ass shit from
It
Hillary
should be
Clinton.
fun to watch.
It's going to get ridiculous.
I don't-
I don't doubt she won't pull every stop she can. You'll hear. I think she has chances of beating Bernie
she'll
Sanders.
be Bernie.
Just
I've got a prediction. She will not be the nominee.
You don't-
Hillary
you don't
Rodham
think?
Clinton will not be the Democratic nominee.
Did you tell me the other day it wouldn't be Bernie?
Who's
It
the
won't-
who's the
I don't
third
think
guy?
it'll be
Who's
Bernie
the third
Sanders.
guy running?
Oh,
for
that Irishman.
Let's-
Yeah, what's his name? I don't even know the guy's name.
He's under the stage at this point during the
Martin
debate. I mean,
O'Malley?
he's not even
Yeah,
popping
that's
his
who it
head
is.
out.
That's who it
O'Malley,
is.
yeah,
Martin
yeah.
O'Malley. Yeah, Martin
I
O'Malley.
think he just
Look,
has his shirt
I
off half
have-
the time.
Hillary Clinton has the specter of what she was doing with the emails. She was violating federal law with the emails.
Yeah, you can't tell me she didn't know that too.
Point blank.
Yeah,
she knew
sure,
it.
yeah.
What other reason would you be using a non-secure server?
You know what else is kind of crazy? I think they got that movie coming out, Benghazi. Guarantee you they don't mention
Oh,
the
yeah.
government once. They
Yeah.
won't talk about. They won't say one.
Well, it's in
thing.
honor of the guys.
Absolutely. I mean, I can
the
understand that.
dudes
That's
who got left to
right.
dry. I
Right.
mean, I hate to say it, those poor guys. And if she can do it to those Americans, she can do it to any American.
She didn't care what was
You
going
know,
on
I mean,
there.
that's the thing. Is like everybody's, well, it just
Right,
happened to some
right.
dudes out there. It
Yeah.
could happen to any one of you. She can leave you out to dry. That's the key to the whole argument.
Isn't
it? That's
Isn't
the
that
key.
the point?
Well,
right.
They had that one email saying that the guys in Benghazi were being attacked, and Hillary's advisors were telling her that, and she comes back with a question: what do you think that Chelsea should wear?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Right in the middle of Benghazi,
And
Hillary Clinton is worried about what Chelsea's going to wear.
She probably looked real good that night. Though,
And I
mean,
got-
I
well,
don't know about that.
I'm not so sure
Chelsea,
myself.
She's not bad.
Maybe you
know.
could be
She looks
right,
Too
right.
much like her mother.
But
But the
maybe,
fact of the matter
if
is-
she looked like
tells you-
Bill, it probably would have
If
been better.
anything
off.
tells you more,
About the
more
person
about
she is. Right.
what she is,
The
the
kind of person.
crassness, the oh,
Could care less. Yeah.
she's a terrible
absolutely.
human being. Terrible.
Jeez, who are you voting for this year, Bob?
Well, whoever the
Not-
Republican
not whoever,
nominee
yeah.
is,
Just with an R by your name.
whoever the
voting for him?
Republican nominee is, and I don't know who that's going to be.
Yeah.
Don't you
guess
know
is-
Jesus was a Democrat?
My guess is either Rubio, Cruz, or Christie will be the nominee.
Rubio? Who, Bobby?
I
Bob,
wouldn't
say that again. I want to hear.
I
that.
wouldn't
One
mind
of
seeing
those three
Rubio.
are gonna be the
Rubio,
You know why I wouldn't mind
Cruz.
seeing Rubio though? Rubio, he's a different guy in the respect that, you know what, this guy, he doesn't have a lot of money, comparatively speaking. I think his net worth they said was around $700,000. He's literally the poorest guy out of all the candidates right now. I mean,
He's the establishment golden boy after Jeb fell off the horse, but he's coming back now. Jeb is coming back. Well, in the polls at least.
That's
You
what I
don't-
hear. Right? We don't follow the polls.
I don't
mean,
want
we-
another Bush
On
in
the
White
Overkill
House,
Underground, we don't follow
but
polls.
he is a guy that keeps a level head, thinks things through.
Jeb?
You might not agree with what he says all the
Jeez
time,
Louise.
but he's got substance to him. He's an intelligent. He's an intelligent
He's
guy.
Hillary on the Republican
I'll
side,
tell you what.
Bob.
See, you're catching in to everything that you hear from the media, what you see from the media.
I'll tell you what.
But
He
I'm
sounds
not-
like the only guy that can lose to Hillary on that stage. Yes, way.
I would agree with you on that fact.
He's the only guy on that stage, other than
that
the
I-
cheeseburger vault called Christie, that can lose to
Cheeseburger.
to
all
Hillary.
all of them will crush Hillary Clinton. All of them would crush Hillary Clinton. Every one of them. Every one of them would crush Hillary Clinton.
Jeb is Romney in new clothes.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeb,
You
you
want to
gotta.
get into Romney?
You
wanna get into Romney?
Bob, I
thi-
ain't trying to
I
fight
think-
you or nothing, but
I
if you
think the thing
Mitt
about
Romney
listen,
was
the
a
thing about
terrific-
Jeb, I'll tell you, the thing about
a
Jeb,
terrific candidate.
the thing about
Jeez
He was a
Louise.
terrific candidate. The American people weren't smart enough to elect him over Barack Obama. You look at the accomplishments that Romney's had through his life and what he has done, a governor, the runner of the Olympics. He's done numerous things, built businesses.
and I
He's
was
a
gonna say,
statesman.
yeah, I was gonna
He's
say,
a statesman. Mitt Romney.
Romney-
Shut down those
Romney-
businesses, Bob. Shut down a
Romney-
lot of businesses.
Romney and Bush. But the thing is, too, sometimes you gotta let business fail.
You do.
I mean, you really do. But the thing is, Romney and Jeb, I think both of those guys have really done good things for their states, as far as I've seen, and the programs they've set up and being able to turn around the deficits that they had into positives, and actually having growth within the states that they governed. Now, the problem with Jeb, nobody wants to hear another. Everybody's tired of Bush.
When your bush gets too long, you got to
agree.
trim it. It's time to trim it. I mean, it's time to cut it back.
That's true.
You know,
I
I
agree
mean,
with that
nobody
totally.
likes
That's
going
the
down
sad
on a long
reality.
bush.
That's the sad reality.
That is the reality.
No, it's
Um,
time.
No doubt about it.
I think he'd be the best Bush too.
I do
And
too.
I
agree with
I
that.
I would also agree that out of all the Bushes, he would be the best.
No doubt about that.
And it's a sad fact that I think he won't get the recognition. I don't pay attention to him as much because he's a Bush. Maybe I should, but it's just that's where I think a lot of people are coming from. I'm like a lot of people.
Well, you know,
I'm not over-informed. I'm pretty average on what I know about the candidates, and it's, I don't want to hear another Bush.
I don't either. But the
Let me
media,
listen.
the media is only going to show us people that they think that Hillary can beat. That's the bottom line.
And Jeb is, he's there.
They're not. They're
He's
showing.
there.
They're following Trump.
And
like
he's
the last
beating
man on
he's
earth.
beating Hillary in the polls right now.
Well, polls are irrelevant. But
Yeah,
but they don't cover Rubio or Cruz or Christie in a good light.
Cruz
they-
and Christie,
Every
those guys
time
aren't
you hear
saying
something
anything.
about them, it's because they've done something wrong.
They're not saying anything provocative at this moment, so why cover them?
when
you
somebody
know
like
what?
I mean, they
Yeah,
got
we're-
ratings
No,
to worry
you know,
about
when-
here. I mean,
when you
CNN
have
really
an
don't worry about
election-
their ratings.
when
but
you
anyway.
have
which is
an
why
election-
you hear Trump
Let me-
come up on every news station, Republican or Democrat bias. Trump is almost the number one topic because the guy, he pulls in the crowd. He like you said, he's saying the things that we all have the same feelings about. People are tired. They're scared. Why do
No
you think
doubt.
why do you think the Powerball is such an exciting thing? When we look around, it's like, man, I don't know. Every man, woman, and child in this country right now owes $150,000 to the government as far as trying to pay off the interest from some loan that we'll never be able to repay anyhow. I mean, the scariest way to look at this is, and numbers are numbers. We hear them all the time, and we get more desensitized towards what they are. You hear a million, you hear a billion, you hear a trillion. It's like they're just numbers, and they get thrown around. Do we have an understanding of what these numbers are? Funny story is, my son comes up and asks me. He says, "Hey, Dad, am I older than 1 billion seconds?" And I'm thinking to myself, 1 billion seconds, man, that's 1,000 million. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so. Google it, right? He goes over, he Googles it. We found out from that question that he asked that 1 million seconds is 13 days. 1 million seconds is 13 days. 1 billion seconds, here's the separation, is 26 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Wait. Let's listen to the separation between 1 billion and 1 trillion.
Yeah.
Because 1 billion seconds is 26 years, but 1 trillion seconds is 26,000 years. You think we'll ever pay that debt off?
Never. It's
20
going to end up crushing us.
I mean, you look at the staggering jump from 1 million to 1 billion. That alone is staggering. But then from 1 billion to 1 trillion, these are unrealistic numbers, folks.
It's hard to.
These are
fathom.
unrealistic. They're
It
not
is.
real. This is made up. This is fantasy land. These people have produced so much money in interest. And that's where it comes from. These people create money through interest, and there is so much interest because there is so much debt.
But just think if you would pause spending,
it's a fantasy land number.
pause spending for a couple days. Imagine what you would make up within those couple days. I mean, we're not exactly sitting on our asses here. People are still working, and the economy is still up and running. What is left of it? But if you were to pause spending, and there's still
the economy,
tax collection,
the economy itself is doing okay.
You wouldn't be able to suck out all that money at once.
The economy is growing.
You could still pause spending.
But you know what else is growing? Debt. Period.
But that's why I'm saying if you could pause spending for a little while, the government would shut down, but not in the way
right.
Everybody would be off and the mail wouldn't work and all that crap. It would still function, but the government is continually collecting taxes every day of the year. And if you just pause spending to, or make spending to what it was in 2008, or put spending at 2010 even, we would be making up that deficit quickly, faster than what you guys would be thinking, as we're so crushed by this debt.
Which kind of excites me.
Bring this back faster than you think.
Which kind of excites me if somebody like Trump actually gets in office, because I think he has an understanding, maybe more so than maybe the other candidates. I could be wrong, but this is a guy that took $20 million and turned it into $4+ billion. I mean, the guy, for what it's worth, he's done good in business. Is that going to relate and make up, a good president? It's hard to say. But the guy he's got the balls to really. I mean, you look at.
He's got to be a statesman at the same time.
His foreign relations, his foreign relations. He does business. He does business in how many countries? His foreign relations should be pretty good. His management and skills of managing other people, obviously phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many businesses he runs, but I know it's over 150. I mean, it's a list of like a ridiculous amount of businesses this guy runs. One guy. Of course, he's not just running every business by himself, but he's directing the people under him to run these businesses, and they're all in Trump's name. 150 plus businesses. It's a ridiculous list. This is a guy that, I mean, he's built a lot out of a lot. I mean, he didn't start out like a poor kid, but he's built a lot.
He's a
out of a lot.
fantastic businessman.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I love the way he talks about what China's doing to us, what Obama's doing to us, and stuff like that.
But he's not the professional that you would expect to see as a president.
He's got to be a professional. He's got to be a statesman. He's got to get along with he's got to get along with people. He's called for banning Muslims. You can't.
He's been a bit radical, right?
Can't.
He's been a bit radical. Without a doubt.
Well, that wasn't the first thing, and then he drew back his original statement and made it, more.
Which is
palatable.
another reason. I would have to say I like Trump, because if he's willing to draw back on things that really negatively affect him, when things come up that the American people think, no, we don't like that at all. Well, Trump is going to be willing to say, you know what, you guys don't like that? I get it. I'll back down from that position.
I get that. But but once you're in the presidency,
Trump seems like that kind
you
of guy.
can't be cutting people up and then going to them the next
Well,
week
we've been
saying,
seeing
"Hey,
it
we
for
need
the
to
last
go-
8 years.
You might need to be more. Well, you
Pardon
might.
me?
We've been seeing that for the last 8 years.
And we've seen how bad it's
Well, on the lefty side, I mean,
And
you
we've
never
seen how
know.
bad it
What we just come to realization is Obama is so bad right now that the next president could be considered the best president we've ever had, ever. Because it's so bad right now that the next guy that could step in, and if he just did the right things, I don't know what they are, I can't list them all, but if he just did the right things, he could be the best president ever.
Well, he's got a
Because
lot
it's
of
so
things to
bad
fix.
right now. This
Well-
guy could be, I would love to run for president right now, because you can't do any worse. Although the media would make it out to be, you would be doing worse.
I agree
But
with
you
that.
could be considered better than Reagan, better than Clinton. You could be the best president of all time at this point right now. Just doing the right things, or just leading the way, maybe even Reagan did.
You would need a serious staff of some super intelligent people.
And
Which I
People
think-
which we have in this country.
And
Which
I
we do.
think-
We
and
have
I
those
think-
people. We have them.
And if you look at the Republican candidates, I think every one of them is smart enough to know that and to get the best people in there.
And
So-
we can only hope for the best.
You
I
know,
mean,
Yeah.
We
This
know
year-
Obama hasn't done that,
this
but-
year,
but all of those Republicans on that stage would do that. I'm 100% confident that they would do that.
I would think so, and I would definitely hope so. I'll tell you what, over the course of this year, I'm hoping that everybody or more people join us here in the conversation and comment to what we're talking about. These are important things. I mean, we bring up stupid stuff. We bring up important stuff. These are important
I
things.
think
The
Bob
things-
is working for
these-
the GOP at this point.
You know,
These things need to be brought up, though.
That-
I mean,
that-
it's important that people.
you know what? You want
There's a lot of people that aren't going to have an educated decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want to crack down on the GOP? You look at what the Democrats have done to the inner cities of this country.
Well, I know the GOP's
You-
been going along with the whole
you-
circus that's what the Democrats
You
are
look at all
going
the
for.
major cities that have all this violence, and almost all of them have been run by Democrats.
Well, how about
for
this?
decades.
Bob, you like this one. What if we put all the conservatives on one side of the country and we put
We've
all the
talked
liberals
about
on
that,
the
yeah.
left, and we built a giant wall? How long before all the liberals are climbing the wall to go to the conservative side? I mean, not very
How ma-
long. I
how
mean,
many
that's how
times
it is.
have I said we have to work together?
No, I don't agree
We've
with that at
gotta
all.
work
There's no
together.
working together on this. I mean, you
We've
have
got
to
You know what?
change it. This
We're
working
gonna-
together is for
We're
the
gonna
birds.
fall.
There is, yeah,
If
there
we
is,
don't work
there is a
together.
point
We've
where
got to work together.
where I agree with Doug a lot that the issue is
We've got to work together.
Nothing that came out of
You-
liberalism
this is
is
the-
good.
right.
Nothing,
And that's I
Bob.
think that's a really good point. That
The
you
only
bring
way
up.
to work with them is buying them off and giving them more money
I think
to
this
their
is
districts.
I think this is what Doug's point is. We have to fight liberalism. It's not that we need to get along with it. I think that's why Trump is in a powerful position. Liberalism is something that's not going to go away unless there's a fight against it.
No doubt.
It's something that we need to fight against. It truly is a thing that is destroying what this country is made for, and that initial reason I think is the freedom that this country offers to everybody. I mean, right now we're still, even if we aren't the freest nation in the world, we're still one of the freest, and we still have, I think, more and greater opportunities than anywhere else in the world. But this is going to be a serious election.
It's very.
This is going to be the do or die year, and
No
we'll
doubt
see where
about
we'll see where we end up.
We've got another year of Obama.
We're definitely far past due in
We've
our
got another
in our
year
time.
of the man in the White House who doesn't care.
We're
about
gonna
anything.
and we're
The
gonna
thin man in the suit.
week by week we're gonna
An
be
empty
back.
suit, like Clint Eastwood said.
Yeah, right.
With
And-
that empty
and-
chair
and-
there.
And
He hit the
hopefully,
nail on the head.
hopefully
that
we
night.
can fill. Hopefully we can fill this position with something that can be meaningful, and who knows what it's going to take to turn this country around. I know I'm not smart enough to even comprehend it, but like I said, week by week we're going to be here, and you know what? We're going to wrap this show up. We're going to be back next week. We'll be on this same topic, I'm sure, at an advanced stage, as we will be every week as we advance towards the election, because it's going to be something that it's majorly important this year. And we'll be talking about whatever, too, at the same time. But I do want to say thanks to Doug and Robert.
We're back.
Lance,
You're welcome.
Yeah,
of course,
Lance.
you
Jeez
guys.
Louise.
Hopefully we'll come in next week and be able to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers
Oh,
getting ready to
jeez.
play in the AFC
Oh,
and we'll be
Championship game. How
right.
about
We'll
that?
God, you had to say that.
How
You
about
had to
that?
say the Steelers, didn't you? Oh my.
He had to bring up.
goodness.
He had to bring up the Steelers.
Oh my goodness.
He had to bring up the Steelers.
I don't want to
folks.
see Manning beat him, but oh goodness gracious.
We'll see what. We'll,
You know, we got to have some.
we'll see what happens.
I
right?
can't wait
Here
to
a little
talk to
bit.
you. Oh jeez. Dark days upon Pittsburgh are coming, Bobby.
But we are going to wrap it up, folks. Guys, I thank you for being here with us. As always.
Did my fan club just increase or decrease since I started?
What, the
talking
guys
about
over there by the
That's-
dumpster downtown, or what?
Pardon me?
Your Ohio fan club just
Yeah,
put
you
gave
really.
you a
Yeah,
thumbs
wow.
down.
Wow.
But thanks for joining us, guys. Don't forget, comment, subscribe. I really want you guys to at least comment. We have fun with that stuff, and we have fun doing this show. And we hope you guys are back here with us next week. And we will see you guys then.
Thank
Later.
you for watching. Happy New Year, everybody.
Peace.